What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So it's time to answer a question. So someone posted a question in the comments, or they actually made a comment in the comments. And I want to go over this because I've heard this over and over again when it comes to tariffs and when it comes to the people struggling right now. And let me read this comment to you. Now, understand the video that I showed, it was talking about farmers, and farmers had, basically some products that they purchase, like tractors and things like that. They purchase them from other countries. And so they're paying these tariffs. And so not only are they struggling to sell things like soybeans to China, but they're also spending a lot of money buying these tractors. And so Jerry says, maybe they better start making these parts here in the USA. Let's get some of these businesses back. So I've heard this over and over and over again. Why don't we just build things in the US? Why don't we have these manufacturing plants where we're building all of these different things? If it's a tractor, if it's cars, all this stuff, why can't we build it here in the US? And that's a good question. Why can't we build it in the US? Well, I want to go over this, and I went ahead and I did a little more research on this because I wanted to really give you guys a solid information. So when we purchase things, even if you have a company in the US, first thing, you have a company in the US, a lot of these companies are buying parts from other countries. They can even say that it's made in the US, but they're still buying different products from other countries, okay? That is normal. That's the way it's been. So even if you have a manufacturing plant in the US, in most cases, you're still buying products from other countries. You're buying materials from other countries. Okay, so let's go over this. So we have what's called a global supply chain. And with this global supply chain, it's good because we can get products from other countries. That's a good thing. But when you start slapping tariffs on these products, now, even if you have a company in the US, if you're getting some of these different products to build your product in the US, you're going to have to charge more because you're going to have to pay more for some of those products. Okay, higher production costs. In the US, there's higher production costs generally. Why? Because we pay our employees more, we have health benefits and all that stuff, as well as energy costs more. And in this situation where you have tariffs, now you're paying more money to get these products shipped to you. Because remember, when it comes to tariffs, the company that has that product shipped to them is paying the tariff. It's not the foreign country. It's the company in the US. If I have a manufacturing company and I'm making shoes, and I need to get products, material from other countries, I have to pay that tariff. And in many cases, I can't get the materials in the US, or the materials in the US cost more than the materials in other countries. And that's why you're purchasing. Because when you have a company, you want to shop around. You want to get the best price. You want to get the best quality, and you want to get the best price. And so if something is more expensive in the US, of course, you're going to look elsewhere. If it was cheaper in the US already, then you wouldn't need to go to these other countries and try to buy these products. Okay, let's get back to this illustration. So lack of raw materials. We don't have all the raw materials to build products. Okay, so we can't just make everything in the US. It's not possible. We have to get materials from other countries. Steel, aluminum, a variety of different things. And for a while, they were talking about lumber to build houses. We get a lot of lumber from Canada. And the reason for that is we just don't have all that material here. We might have some, but we don't have enough. And that's why we'll go to other countries. Now, let's say we shut off everything. So we're not buying from any other countries. Eventually, we're going to run out of lumber. And then what happens in that situation? Or even if we get close to running out of lumber? Because if the supply is down, the demand is still there, guess what happens to the prices? Even in the US, the prices are going to skyrocket because we're not buying lumber from other countries. And so that could be a huge problem. And then the last thing here, time and investment required. To build a manufacturing plant is going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Do you really want to make that investment? And there's some reasons why you might think twice about doing that. We saw what happened in Georgia with this Hyundai plant. And of course, Hyundai is not an American company. However, they were saying, look, in good faith, we're going to start building cars in the US. And that's good for us because if they have a manufacturing plant there, guess what? You need employees. And they were talking they would need like 8,500 employees. But then we saw the whole situation with the ICE raid and all of that. And now South Korea, they don't know if they want to do business in the US or at least have a manufacturing plant in the US. And so there can be changes. Do you really want to put that investment in there, especially when we're looking at tariffs, because tariffs can change. And so let's say we spend hundreds of millions of dollars building a plant. Let's say it's a U.S. company. They're spending all this money building a plant. Then they find out that tariffs have changed and they've gone down. And now these other countries are more competitive. And so you spent all your money building this plant in the U.S., and people can still get the products that they need for cheaper from other countries. And so that could be a huge problem. And remember, we talked about labor costs. Labor costs in the U.S. it's much more than some of these other countries. So that's why they're able to charge less for these products. And so even if you're building something like they're talking about building cell phones and all of that stuff in the U.S., the cell phone is going to be more expensive, labor costs alone, because you need to pay your employees more money. And so even if you make it in the U.S., it's going to cost more. Okay, let's look at some more details here. So this is basically showing you as far as raw materials. Let's say you're getting raw materials from other countries and you're getting components from other countries, and all this stuff comes into the U.S. Okay, so you're paying tariffs on all this stuff that's coming into the U.S. And then you assemble it. Let's say you assemble everything in the U.S. You're still going to have to charge more, even if it's a product that's made in the U.S., because you're spending all this money to get the parts, the components, to build that product, to put that product together in the U.S. And so the video that I showed a few days ago, the farmers were saying, look, we're struggling. Not only when it comes to soybeans, because a lot of them grow soybeans, and China right now is not buying any soybeans from us. They're going to Brazil. And so these farmers are losing business. And I think it's like 40% of soybeans, it was going to China. And now China hasn't put in any orders. And so they were saying, not only are we struggling with that, but we're also looking at, we can't buy tractors, we can't buy new things because the cost has skyrocketed and it's not worth it anymore. Not to mention the equipment that you already have, if it breaks down and they need to get a part from another country to fix it, you're going to have to pay more. And so that's why you can't just say, well, we should just be building everything in the U.S. It's not possible to build everything in the U.S. Go to produce. Produce is an easy example. We don't have the climate to grow all of our own produce. And so we do purchase produce from Mexico, from Peru, from Colombia, from different places all over the world. And the reason that we do that is because we can't grow the products in the U.S. We can grow some, but we don't have enough to satisfy all the consumers in the U.S. And if we were in a situation where we couldn't buy from other countries, then we would have that supply and demand issue, because the demand would be up there, but the supply, we wouldn't have the supply. And so what happens? The price will skyrocket, because we have limited supply. And so we're always going to be buying things from other countries. There's not going to be a time where we can just do everything in the U.S. It's not possible. We don't have the resources for that. We don't have the materials for that. We don't have the land for that. So it's just not going to work the way people think it will. And so I just wanted to answer that and show you some illustrations. Just hopefully you understand a little bit better, because there are a lot of people out there that are just saying that, yeah, we should just build everything in the U.S. It's not that easy. Think how many parts are in a car. Do you think all of those parts were made in the U.S.? It's impossible. It's a lot of parts, thousands and thousands of parts that are in a car. And some of those parts are imported from other countries. And so even if you have a car, a Ford, you're still getting parts from other countries. So Ford is still going to have to raise the prices on those cars, because now they have to pay more. Now, the right thing, the best way that we could have handled this is we could have looked at certain industries. Okay, we could have looked at industry and say, okay, avocados, for example. Let's say we get to a point where we have enough people, farmers growing avocados to satisfy the consumers in the U.S. We don't have that now, but I'm just saying, let's say we got to that point. Well, now would be a good chance to say, okay, you know, we can slap a tariff on some of these countries that we're buying avocados from, because we have a supply that will satisfy the consumers that we have in the U.S. But that's not what we did. What we did is we just said, we're just going to slap tariffs on them, and then hopefully we'll be able to have more farmers growing avocados so we can satisfy our consumers. But in the meantime, prices are going to go up. because whether you're getting it from another country or if you're only using the limited supply that we have in the US, prices will rise. And so that's the problem. So I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.